Hey, what's going on, Doc?
Hi, how are you?
Hey, I am platinum, and I refuse and won't let it be anything less. You
Okay,
understand? You
okay.
understand? You understand?
Yeah, yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah. So, Doc, I'm gonna holler at you a little bit because your profession. They'll hear about that. So I'm gonna brag on you a little bit right after we get with our introduction. So, hey, welcome to Perspective. And if this is your first time viewing us or you come across our video in this episode, if you're curious about what perspective is about, it can be found right there in the name Perspective. This is a safe place, a safe tree, if you will. It is a place that we can come and have adult, mature conversation about a myriad of different topics and subjects. We usually keep it around mental health and just the overall well being of everybody. So, this is a place where you can come share your opinions, your perspective, your ideals, your lived experiences without getting too much pushback, because what we really find out that when we do have our own points of position of thought, lived experiences, opinions, and whatnot with other individuals, they might not always align. But what we do want to keep in mind is that it doesn't necessarily mean that you're wrong and that they're right, or that they're wrong and that you're right. It really just points out that those things are different. And when we can look at our differences and have mature, open-ended discussions about those, that it usually we find out that we have more in common and we're really seeking the same things. We just take different routes of getting there. And that brings us closer together as individuals. It brings us closer together as a community, which will bring us closer together as a world. And that will make it better. And that's what we aim to do here on Perspective. So, with that being said, I am Eric Butler, aka The Intellect, aka Cullinan 8, because I'm the biggest diamond ever found on land, aka hey, when you do that, Doc, it always throw me off. AKA the Atlantic, because I'm cold, deep, and choppy. It ain't nothing nobody can do about it. I guess my reason for being here is that my background is in talent acquisitions, staffing, and recruiting. That has lent me the opportunity to talk to quite a few people. It's innumerable at this moment. Over 2 decades of doing that, which has led me into some career counseling, career advising, and also kind of got me out into and I'm gonna say the word because Doc got crunk about it, my philanthropic ventures, and I do that through a nonprofit organization called the Empower Series, which is a financial literacy nonprofit. And what we aim to do is to bring education, information, resources, and inspiration to individuals, not so that they can not only just survive, but to thrive in every area of their life. And a quick shout out to the Empower Series. You can definitely, we having a workshop this Saturday. You can actually attend in person or virtually here in Dallas, Texas. And I'm going to try and put the website in the chat box. And if I can ask of anything, is just to go and register. That way you can at least pull it up wherever you're at on Saturday, and just let it play, view it, even if not now, then later. You'll find it very, very helpful, and it'll be helpful just to register. So that is my ask. Other than that, that has led me the opportunity of being in all those things have led me to be here sitting before you today. And for some reason, they feel like that my perspective, my opinions, and my lived experiences that I share tend to help in that way. And I am honored to do so. With that being said, I wanted to pass the mic over to my unmatched co host. They are the dopest of the dopest. They are the co host with the mostest. I like saying that, and it rhymes. So I'm going to pass the mic over and allow my co host to introduce themselves.
Okay, hello, everyone. My name is Latoya. Let's see, Latoya, aka Chef Jeff's wife, aka them kids' mama. Let's see. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I'm an author. I also have an audio only podcast called Say More About That. It is everywhere where you listen to podcasts. It's on Spotify, Apple, Podbean, wherever you want to listen. It is there. Check it out. It's just me talking about mental health stuff. I talk about boundaries and wellness. And this week's episode was about post-election self-care because I feel like such
It
a
is a
timely thing to discuss. And
yes,
if
it
you look
is.
like me and you have decided to take a resting stance, then you'll find this quite helpful.
Absolutely.
Let's do a disclaimer before we get
Yes.
into the topic. All
Yes,
right. So,
ma'am.
I am a therapist, not your therapist, unless there is paperwork and a payment plan in place. Eric and I will be speaking from our lived experiences, our education, conversations we had. We are not talking about our current personal life unless we say, currently, this is happening to me. Also, no one called us before the show. So, even if we like driving down your driveway, nobody told us your business. Just take notes as you need to. Finally, we know that your sister's cousin, homegirl, best friend had the same situation. And while we love her, we are not talking about her. We are talking in a general perspective.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know, Doc, when that happens, listen, don't be upset with us.
Yeah, just take
Matter of,
notes.
matter of fact, just be thankful. Because I was gonna, there's a saying, and I'm not calling anyone this in particular, but hit dogs holler. You know what I mean? So
And
if
listen,
something
just take notes.
Yes, if something comes close to the vest, um, it's good that that happens. We try to do our best to hold up the mirror when we have our
Mhm.
conversations. And the reason I like doing it with my co-host, and she's just, I give her so many accolades because not afraid to look in the mirror themselves, have done that. And I think how many people we didn't saw this week on a
Over
Thursday?
30. Over
Over
30.
30. And I
Gosh.
promise they got better, man. Salute to you, Doc. Salute to you, Doc.
Ooh, child.
So with that being said,
You want to hit
the
the
topic.
comments before we get going?
Oh yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Mr. J. Gilliard, yes, he says, "Welcome to the comments section." He is the, I would say, the mayor of the comment section. He's skating around without a hockey stick, just wishing and hoping somebody get out of line. You know what I mean? And I will give him his kudos, Mr. J. Gilliard. That's my partner right there, man. He is the host and the proprietor of this dope cooking show. Say that
Yeah.
real quick. This dope cooking show that airs on Tuesdays at 5:30. You can go to YouTube and go to this dope cooking show.
All one
Spell it
word.
all one word. Spell it out just like I just said it, and get those recipes. I'm not going to bring up my favorite thing because I talk about it way too much. I'm just going to say it's a feeling. It has salmon in it, and put those together, and it's Philly salmon. Anyway, but I don't think you'll miss anything. I seen him. He made some type of sauce and put it over this codfish. I was like, hold
Oh, it
up.
was so good.
See, and then, oh man,
Mm.
hold up, wait a minute. So I don't want to hear nothing when I come knocking on the door unannounced.
It was
Y'all,
so good.
y'all did it. Y'all did it. So,
Mm.
I kind of operate in that pescatarian type diet plan anyway. Fish is a favorite of mine. So
Mm.
yes,
I didn't know
that
that.
that's kind of me dry asking. That's me dry
Yeah,
asking
we
right
caught it.
there.
We heard it. Yeah.
I gotcha,
Yep.
gotcha. All right. So the topic for tonight, we're going to get into it, and I think it's a really good one. I do want to put a disclaimer out there for those viewers who are watching. If you would please take a moment. If there is anything that you hear, anything that you feel that you know is positive, go ahead and hit that like button. That lets us know that that it is serving a purpose, and we know that data matters. So we ain't going to act like that's not going to help us out, because when we do that, and your comments, the more you comment and give us feedback, I think it makes for a richer conversation. And I'm telling you, your lived experiences, your perspective, your opinions, those things matter. Also, it lets people know that they're not alone in the things that they're thinking and that they're experiencing, and that can help someone. It may not be what I say, it may not be what Doc comes across and says, but it may be your comment, your shared expression that moves someone. So you
Mhm.
are very important to the process. So we definitely encourage you to be involved in the comments section. With that
Mhm.
being said, the topic for tonight, boom. What we'll be exploring is the exploration of emotions, perception, or reality. Mm,
Mm.
let's get into that.
What we're gonna
So,
start with though, because I like for everybody to be on the same page.
all right, I'm gonna start with the thing that I know Doc is hitting at. I have learned this from her. It has helped me in all walks of life. So, what is, if we're talking about emotions, then the question poses, what is emotion? And I'm going to give the definition of emotion. Emotions are complex reactions involving subjective experiences, psychological responses, and behavioral expressions. They're real and measurable through bodily changes, brain activity, and observable behavior. But Doc, I definitely got to give you the floor if there is anything you want to add, edit, or maybe even restate on the definition of emotion that I just shared.
So I just would like to add that emotions are real. Your feelings are valid. Your feelings are not facts. Let me say that again for
Mm,
you. Your
say,
emotions and your feelings are real. They are valid. And your emotions really don't need an explanation. Like it's valid because you had it, but feelings aren't facts. You cannot go pay your light bill with a feeling.
mm,
Okay. The mortgage company, you can't call and be like, I feel like I don't want to pay. They're gonna be like, okay, I feel like I want you to move out. So your feelings are valid, they are real, but they're not facts. And also, when we're thinking about emotions, it's really like a natural response to the world or your environment that can help you interpret information about the world. So, for example, it can signal danger. Happiness can affirm like experiences that you enjoy. Sadness tells you, oh, I need to process something, or like I have an unmet need. So, your emotions are kind of like just telling you about the world and how you perceive the world around you. That's what makes them
gotcha,
real.
gotcha. And I argue this point because, you know, perspective and perception, I think they cousins to a certain degree. And
Mm-hmm.
so as they are real, to try to dig in and look at that. So I would say it's kind of a debate of, are they real versus are they perceived? And I think the
Mm-hmm.
answer is both. So emotions, they can be both tangible, which means it can be touched, it can be grabbed, it can be felt. It's something that's visceral and real that can be measured, right?
Mm-hmm.
And also subjective, which we can say is, as Doc just clearly and wonderfully explained, they're not facts. So for instance, like the sensation of fear, like it can cause your heartbeat to raise, or you'll start sweating. Sometimes you can't think very quickly, as we talked about the definition. It impacts bodily changes, brain activity, and other types of behaviors when you experience it. And so those are the tangible elements of emotions. While the subjective element of emotions, like when you're feeling fear, the feeling of fear, it can vary from person to person, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's perceptive. So you can perceive that. I've heard this definition when it comes to use fear as far as that emotion, because I think that's a main one that we deal with in our society. It's facts. It's false evidence appearing real, because we've been afraid of things like, oh, well, I'm so afraid to do it, and then you do it and you realize, oh, that wasn't that bad at all. Or the worst thing that you thought and you were worried about happening doesn't even happen. And so, our emotions are very important to understand and identify. Specifically thinking about fear, because it'll hold you back from doing things that you should do, accomplishing goals that you would like to accomplish. And I'll pause there to give Doc an opportunity to maybe retort or respond to that.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate that how you experience the emotion is subjective. Like some people get nervous and their stomach hurts. Some people get nervous and their hands sweat. Like it's different, but the act or the feeling of nervousness is real. So I just want to
Yes.
reiterate, emotions are real, your feelings are real. We
Okay.
just experience
Okay.
them differently.
Absolutely. So Doc, What is it to be emotional? Now we finna get into it because I think it's used as a weapon many times.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it to be emotional?
I mean, I think if you're human, you experience emotions. I think what you're speaking to is when we say, oh, they're just emotional, and we use it as a way to discard them or invalidate their experiences, and that's inappropriate. But I think if I'm saying, oh, this person is emotional, then what I mean is that they just feel things very deeply.
Yeah, that and I
Things
think
that,
yeah.
and it's apparent, like others can see it. So I'm a person, like when I get upset, everybody know. I, even if I'm not saying anything, it's just on my face. It just is what it is, right? There are other people in the world who can be upset and you not know. They function the same, everything is fine. So if you sit me next to them, then I look emotional. They still
Mm.
upset, you just don't know.
Right, right. So it can definitely be expressed in many ways. So, like when experience. Now, I'll just go with more of a formal, like my study of it. So, experiencing emotions, like being emotional, means experiencing, as Doc just said, really deep feelings, strong feelings, and then reacting to events in a way that is noticeable
Mm-hmm.
and intense. So it's right on point with what you said, Doc. And then the way that you express your emotion, and then that kind of comes into our culture, like, so cultural norms, they can dictate how emotions are expressed. I will, as I'll say this, as a man and growing up, expressing your emotions is not, it's like taboo. It's not something that you're really allowed to do. It's not something that's looked favorably upon. And in some cultures, like crying, like with men, is seen, in some cultures, crying is seen as strength, and then while in some other cultures it's viewed as weakness, which is the culture in which I came from. So crying is, if you do that, and then the word sensitive comes out. So if, even if you show that you're upset, or you're not keeping a stoic expression about yourself, it's always viewed as a negative thing. And we'll get into we'll get more into that, of the impact of that, and then
So hold on, let me say this.
yeah.
I think that to say that men aren't allowed to experience or express emotions, I think they aren't allowed to experience or express emotions that are considered soft. When a man stands up and he's passionate, he's rowdy, and he's like putting people in their place, they're like, oh, what an assertive guy. He's amazing.
Mm,
If a man is happy or in love, like that's cool. Maybe not so much on love, because then the simp word gets thrown around, which I don't
boom.
really understand. But specifically a soft emotion like sadness, I think that's the emotion you're saying men aren't allowed to express, because nobody
Right.
is ever checking the man for being assertive or aggressive or passionate or even angry. And I also tell people the reason why we can so readily say I'm mad is because mad is more acceptable than sad, hurt, embarrassed, jealous. Those are considered soft emotions, and there's like a negative connotation that goes along with them. So instead of feeling those, everybody's like, "Oh, I'm mad." But anger is a secondary emotion. There's always
Say
something
it,
before
Doc. Say it. I was
there's
just gonna
always,
ask. Yeah.
yeah, like anger is a secondary emotion. There's always something before the anger. We have just been trained and conditioned to not acknowledge the initial emotion.
Because you can't express to be that I'm jealous of someone, or I'm
Right.
envious of someone, or that I'm sad. Because sad is equated with softness. Like,
Mm-hmm.
man, that hurt my feelings. And
Better not say
so
that.
what is your thought on that statement alone? Man, that hurt my feelings.
I love it. Like, be honest. That hurt your feelings? Tell me more about that. I'm always gonna be like, say more about that. What happened? What they
Now
do?
I'm gonna tell you, probably about a decade ago. It may even be a little bit longer. I've done my work. I've went and seen a Latoya the therapist. It wasn't Latoya the therapist, and so I went and did that, what they call shadow work. Some people say it, but they hadn't really done it, because you gotta look at your good, your bad, and your ugly. You gotta own your stuff, and then dig deep to where you got it from and how come you came to that conclusion. But and I had to really, it caused more drama during the early parts, by doing this. And what I'm referring to is the fact that if somebody said something that I found, demeaning, embarrassing, unbecoming, if it wasn't edifying, you don't need to be saying it to me or about me,
Mm.
whether in my presence or out of my presence. And
How
I
do you
would let that
feel
be
it?
known. When I started using a statement, and I think I had the advantage of being, 6'2", three something. I could bench a little something, squat a little something, push a little something, and I'll slap a little something. And so
I
that
take
gave
it.
me the advantage to be to say, man, hey man, that hurt my feelings. That was embarrassing, man. Why would you embarrass me in that sense, or say something like that, or bring up something in my past that and I would express that, man, you just being sensitive. So then I started taking that away from him. I said, say, man, yes, I am. I'm a sensitive soul. I don't like being talked about in front of unfamiliar company, or I don't like, blemishes or mistakes that I've made in the past being brought up, and they have really nothing to do. So what was first? What was your intentions on doing that? What was the purpose?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, it hurt my feelings. And yeah, you might get touched the way that I'm feeling. Now, so I'll give you the opportunity. Hey, stop doing what you're doing, because you're about to ruin the image and the style that you used to. Because I'll get physical. And that was, I think, a big revelation for the group and the people that were around me. And what I found out over the years, it really thinned out my group, because you can't make people stop functioning in that way or think the way that you do or be enlightened the way that you have been enlightened. And
Mm-hmm.
so separation occurred in that process. But it all stemmed from, I think, facing my emotions, owning my emotions, and not letting the culture or other people around me define the way that I would express them or address them or deal with them when they occurred.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts, comment,
Here go a
feedback time.
comment.
All right. Mr. J. Gilly said he's he's about to get them hands. Yeah, yeah, it was. Cause I mean, it's like, okay, cause here was I was deliberate about it. I was like, yeah, man, that hurt my feelings. So I'm showing that, yeah, I have feelings. I have emotions, to keep it in topic. And you have trampled upon them. Now,
Trample
if you
upon.
think if you think I'm sensitive, I would own it. I say, yeah, I am sensitive about that. I'm sensitive about a lot of things. And I'm making a conscious choice to tell you, hey, don't do that anymore. And if you choose to continue down that path, then you choose to continue to me to put this foot, and I'll let y'all finish the rest.
But so here's the thing, and you did acknowledge this, but I think you have the privilege of being bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Your voice is very deep. To some, that can be intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody my size, that's a man, I'm five, child, I'm probably like 5'5", 5'7", whatever. I'm not
Five
tall.
four.
I'm not tall.
No, I'm just messing with you now.
But if someone a male my size
Mm-hmm.
said that same thing, they would continue to be picked on. And so I think you have to acknowledge what you did, the
Yeah.
privilege that comes with your stature and the tone of your voice and the willingness to want to get physical. What if
Mm-hmm.
someone doesn't want to get physical? It's not as easy for them to own that, like, you hurt my feelings.
Well, no, I think those smaller people do, because you know what because we have a lot of shootings. Egos are going to be there. We have no, we that happens. That happens a lot. And so in my case, I had the advantage because of the physical aspects, and I know I can handle myself. You're not finna whoop me. And I'm not saying I can whoop everybody. If you did, you'll know you've been in a fight. You know what I mean? You know, you're like, oh, I don't want to do that multiple times. And so and most times I didn't. I'll I've been given I don't want to sound braggadocious or anything like that, because I've been accused of being, conceited and arrogant. I don't know where that comes from. Humility is a man's greatest strength, and nobody's perfect in that way. However,
I think your
um,
loquaciousness makes them think that you're arrogant.
I think so. I think so. And
Mm.
so, well, I'll take that feedback and think of that. But what would occur is that I would be able to hurt their feelings with my statements. because I am, even though I'm stoic, and I wouldn't express it very with like the definition said, you wouldn't see it in my body, or I'm all frailing or screaming like, man, it wouldn't be any of that. I'd be like, say, man, that hurt my feel. I would say it plainly, and I let the spike hang out a little bit, and maybe my face be turned up. Like, I don't understand that, and I think
Mhm.
it really hits home when you can manage your emotions. But there's plenty of times where I didn't manage my emotions properly. So I'm not going to say I'm 100% on that. And
Mhm.
as you grow older and mature more, and you actually put it into practice, you can get better at that. And if anybody else has had that, maybe adopted that approach or even had something similar to that, what was your results when you expressed your feelings honestly? And I went to, and the thing was, I had been to a therapist, I'd been to counseling, and I understood that one of the greatest revelations is that anger is a secondary emotion. And when I see people angry, I immediately start thinking like, like, what where were they harmed? What feelings were hurt, and why are their emotions in this state? And it gives me an automatic sense of not judgment, but of empathy. And so I want to have the conversation with them to find out why that is being pricked, why that emotion is being pricked, or why your feelings are being hurt by that statement. And many times that it resides deeply within us in that sense. Mr. J. Gilliam says, "Come on, loquaciousness. What does that mean?" Doc, definition time.
He talks a lot. He's very
Yes,
wordy.
yes, yes, yes. I've had to work on that over the years. Definitely, somebody can be like, "Man, what you doing?" Well, what I've attempted to do is, utilize my time today to, maybe reflect on some things, and maybe watch a few programs that kind of relate to that topic of what my mindset is. Something that can be a little bit more thought provoking and with a little bit of entertainment, and, not do too much physically, but just kind of take in the time in the moment and just do some mental relaxation.
You gonna
Man,
put the words together.
it's a watching TV. That's all it was. Is
I
watching TV.
know. That's
Man,
wild.
and yeah, it
That's
is.
a gift though.
Well, no, gift of exhortation, that is my gift. It took me a while to own it. But the thing is, like anything else, you can have a gift of something, but if you don't hone it, if you don't work on it, if you don't take it under capture and put it and use it at the right, learning when to use it and when not to use it, then you find yourself in trouble. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
sometimes you gotta put it up.
saying? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, as we talk about emotions, Doc, to kind of keep the conversation going, there's this element of the role of emotions in human interaction. Like emotions, like they guide our social interactions and
Mhm.
decision making.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I've given some examples. So, like empathy helps build relationships by allowing us to connect with others'
Sure.
feelings. And
Mhm.
so, going to a therapist, getting counseling, getting that explained to me, was a huge benefit. So as we talk about emotions, I do have but I'll make that at the end, about the importance of them, of having emotions, and then making it okay to have emotions. So how much emotion is too much emotion based off of that comment?
So I don't think there is a such thing as too much emotion. I think that is
Okay.
a lie that we have told ourselves. I think what the issue is the behavior that follows the emotion. If you get
Nice.
angry and go run a mile, nobody's tripping. They like, oh, this person cares
Mm,
about their health. If you get frustrated with your partner and you start cooking dinner, nobody's mad at you for cooking dinner. If you get angry and start beating people up and like getting assault charges, that's a problem. They'll say, oh, you need an anger management class.
management.
It's never the emotion, it's always the behavior. But the behavior is either accepted or frowned upon based on the society that you live in, right? So if we were
Yes.
in Sparta back in the day and we got angry and started fighting, nobody would care because that's what they did. Like they were warriors, it was cool. But we live in today's world, and if you upset me and then I like spit on you and bust the windows out your car, now I'm too emotional, and because I did all this extra. It's not the emotion. The emotion is literally just a feeling that is trying to tell you something about how you're perceiving your environment. The
Mm,
behavior is what is too much.
mm. They separate.
They are very separate.
Man, hey, when show is over, y'all go back, go to about the 29-minute mark and listen to that again. Cause I am. I'll probably have a pen and pad and I'm gonna jot those things down. I just got better today. Thank you, Doc. Thank
Every
you, Doc. Um, so there is not too much emotion, but there can be too much behavior,
expression of emotion.
expression of emotion. So balance is key. One of my favorite words, TBR. Y'all see it behind me. That truth, that balance, and that reality. So healthy emotion expression is crucial. Is what Doc just said, but it is important to avoid being overwhelmed by emotions because when you're experiencing sadness, that's normal. Being sad
Mm-hmm.
is normal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but constant sadness might indicate something else. Starts with a D, ends with an N. I don't even like saying the word.
Depression.
There you go. So keeping mindful of that. It's okay to be sad, but I would say it in to say it in short, too much of anything can really cause a problem. So
I
you
agree.
want to make sure that you're with someone who can help you balance those things, get better control of them, i.e., Latoya, the therapist, is an example. The impact of being overwhelmed, Doc commented on that. So when emotions are too intense, they
Mm-hmm.
can hinder your daily functions. They can, like anxiety. If you're too anxious, it can prevent you from performing well at work or at school. I can speak to that and say that is absolute 100% correct statement. Um, I've experienced it in both environments. And so you got to be able to get those things under control because you'll be capable and probably be the best person for it, but you don't have control of your emotions, i.e., your anxiety, and it will hinder your performance in different areas. Because many, I'm telling you, the best singers we've never heard because they have stage fright. Some of the best athletes we've never seen because they're nervous about being on the stage or making a mistake or something like that. And then managing those emotions, Doc. So what would I would say, the things that when I was doing research for this, like mindfulness, meditation, um, it's something you had said and I seen it.
Emotion regulation.
It was B CB CBT or
CBT,
B.
cognitive behavioral therapy.
Come on with it, Doc. I knew all I had to do was I was like, it's alphabet, Doc, but those things can. So let me say that mindfulness, meditation, and CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, can help manage and balance intense emotions. So we're not just telling you what needs to happen, but these are techniques that you can put in place. Is there anything that I missed or you would like to add to helping manage intense emotions,
Yeah,
Doc?
you got to get the emotions out. I think the problem is people are trying
Oh.
to stuff their emotions in, and that doesn't work because then you explode in
Mm.
inappropriate ways in inappropriate situations. And so if every day you're stuffing your emotions, then one day your partner puts their sock on the floor and doesn't put it in the laundry hamper, and then you're like, "Bleh!" And they like, "Ooh, it was a sock. Are you okay?"
Yeah.
And you the crazy person,
And
but you're not
that,
even mad about the sock.
mm,
You're mad about everything else that you have stuffed down. So I think it's important that you get your emotions out. How do you do that? So you can journal, you can call a friend, you can go see that lady, you can use the voice notes on your phone and just talk it out. But I think you have to get it out verbally. I think you can move your body in a way to get it out. I'm not saying everybody got to go to the gym, but maybe you do some yoga, maybe you do
go
some
punch
stretches or something.
the punching bag.
Maybe you take a kickboxing class, but I think you have to find a way to get the stuff out. Creative outlets are always good. So like art, creating music, painting, stuff like that. That's always good. And then like reflection quietly. Meditating to yourself. I think all of those things are helpful. You just have to find the thing that works for you. So if I'm saying, oh, well, go to the gym, that'll make you feel better. but you got knee pain, back issues, and a rod in your hip, that's probably not going to make you feel better. It's probably going to make you feel worse initially because you're going to be in so much pain. So finding the outlet that works for you is important because it's not necessarily a one size fits all.
I was just about to ask you, Doc, like how does a person learn to cope if they can never express emotion? But you so cold with it, you was like, let me answer the question that hasn't even been asked because I already know the answer. So, like the consequences of suppressing, you talked about it can lead to mental health issues. And I saw a word. I said, I'm gonna ask Doc, what is psychosomatic? What is that?
It's
Psychosomatic
where you
illness?
have where there's no cause, but you have physical issues. So like you have unexplained stomach pain, no food
Mm,
poisoning, no gastrointestinal, none of that,
mm,
but your stomach hurts
mm.
because you
So,
got anxiety or something.
because you have it, okay, anxiety, okay, yeah, like okay, I think that people see it on a light scale, like you said, the sweaty palms, or like you're having a physiological response
Hmm.
to a tangible response to a subjective element, but
Hmm.
which makes it real is why it's real because it's a cause and effect. And then you talked about the coping mechanisms. I really liked you mentioned journaling, um, art, physical activities. You hit all of them. They help you release the emotions in a healthy way, like Doc said. Not when you go off because somebody left a sock on the floor, and they'd be like, "Oh, that was the needle that broke the camel's back." I'm like, no, it was kind of cracked and broken already. The sock ain't really got nothing to do with it. So
Right.
that always ties back to the C word, communication, and I think that helps. I don't think you can get away. A lot of things can be solved if you communicate. So with the emotions, it's like communicating the emotions, but
Mhm.
communicating them effectively, of course, and I think in a timely manner. Because if you try to communicate it once your cup is already full, you are bound to spill some. That's the
Mhm.
way I like to say it. And then, Doc, I think you talked about support systems, like go see that lady. That's the way.
See that later.
Go see that lady. Like
Mhm.
having trusted friends, family members, or the T word, therapist to talk to, and that can help provide that outlet. That's a key thing. You have to have an outlet for your emotions, um, to release them, and someone around you that can support you. Because you may try, it's almost like I think when you first start riding the bike, you got to have somebody around you. If you don't have them training wheels, even when you got the training wheels to help you get started till you get comfortable with managing your emotions, keeping them at bay, and that's a very very important element, and I think perspective to have, and a process to put in place. So I don't know. This one right here may take us a minute, Doc. It don't take you long because you got it down. For the rest of us, we're gonna have you break it down in good detail, and just so that we have it well. So I'm gonna ask this. So when we tell our children to stop showing emotion, are we helping them or are we harming them?
Harming.
And so
Here's
what's
why.
the so okay, so what's the impact on child development?
Here's why. How can you practice? How can you learn something if you are not given a safe place to practice? When you first learned how to drive, whether you went to driver's ed or whether you sat in somebody's lap and did the steering wheel, or whether, however you learned, the environment was controlled. Hopefully, nobody put you on the interstate and said, go. Hopefully, you hit the streets first, right? How do you master something you are not given space to practice? You can't. So if you telling a child, shut up, don't cry, blah, blah, all this what we be saying, especially in our community, you are creating adults who then come and talk to me and be like, I don't know how to express my emotions. I just be beating people up.
Right. And say so because when you're telling your children to suppress their emotions, this stunts their emotional
Emotional
development.
intelligence. Yes.
Got
Because
you.
how do they learn how to cope? So
Yeah.
they become an adult, they go to work, and then their boss says something and they like do I fight or do I just shut up or what I'm supposed to do? And then those people typically experience their emotions physically. So there are people in the world who can't name their emotion, but they recognize something's going on in my body.
And
My
this
body is
causes
in fight or flight.
so many issues. And I'm going to talk about a space and a place that I think people have seen it. So we've watched if you watched any type of sports, and especially at the high school or the amateur ranks, and you see a kid that blows up on the field. Yeah, somebody may have hit him late, somebody did something that was outside of the rules, but they cannot manage themselves, and then end up getting kicked out the game or getting a penalty, and the team suffers for that because they get a penalty and then they lose 15 yards, lose a first down, whatever the case may be. And this is a case where that's an example. I'm using that and highlighting that as an example of someone who has not been, either they've had to suppress their emotions in many cases. And the irony is sports is a place where you get to express your aggression a little bit. And then if you have no regulatory ability, then it goes overboard. And it's almost like, because this is an area you're supposed to be tough, you're supposed to be masculine, and they just take it, man, they just take it way too far, and they end up harming themselves. And the perspective idea is that they hurt the team, and so you end up hurting others. But so can you imagine this if it's not in the sports arena, if it's not in that facility? That's why you have, I would say, the things that happen in Columbine, and things that happen at schools that has the words mass, and people use pow pows when they do that because they have not been able to express their emotions. They have not been able to
Well,
have an out.
hold on,
Yeah, go
hold
ahead.
on.
Okay, go
'Cause
ahead.
them kids was expressing their emotions. It was falling on deaf
Oh,
ears.
mm.
Some of
Talk
these
about it,
children
Doc.
have been expressing their emotions and it falls on deaf ears. That's how they're able to say, oh, well, this person had depression or this person had schizophrenia or this person had this. How did they know if they didn't go to the therapist? Did
Oh,
they just make that up?
oh.
I mean, maybe they could have. This is America. Anything's possible. But how do you know that this child has been struggling with something if they didn't go talk to somebody? So I don't think, and while I do think a lot of it is emotion regulation, because yes, you should know what to do when you're being bullied and you should know blah blah blah. But if you've been bullying me my entire life and today I had enough, I mean,
Today I had enough.
and
Yeah.
I'm never condoning violence. And please don't nobody ever try to take this clip and be like, she said, because violence is terrible, it's
No,
trash. I have
we're
school
just
age
showing we're
children.
showing the
Don't
results
do that.
of not properly addressing it, as we've
Mhm.
covered
Yeah,
earlier
I
in the
don't think
show.
that's always an emotion regulation issue, though. I think that is a
Okay.
systematic issue. There are so many moving parts when you're looking at the mass pow pow situation. So I don't think it's just emotion regulation.
A systemic issue as
It is
well.
very
Yeah. I
systemic.
mean I think that, that's definitely a cross section, and it comes because you can talk about bullying and effects that have on individuals, because you can go nowhere without your emotions. Your emotions are a very um, intimate and integral part of your whole makeup and whole being, and being able to regulate them, understand them, and get assistance and support with them is
Mhm.
vital. I think we have a natural construct that's supposed to help that. You have a mom, dad, they have different aspects that they can bring, and if they're healthy and they've had good emotional regulatory experiences, and been well, then you see the outcomes, and you see the positive fruit that'll bear in that situation. And when they have not, we see the fruit that is bared in that circumstance as well. So as we have this conversation, I think it's worth noting and talking about. That's why I think it's one of the most important and poignant conversations that you and I have had on the show. And so the impact on child development, just to kind of consolidate, is like telling children to suppress their emotions can hinder their emotional development. I think you said it differently. Is that where that word arrested development comes from, Doc?
Yeah.
Or regulatory development, and their ability to understand and manage their feelings. And so
You
helping them.
can't understand what you
Mm,
can't express.
Can't
You can't
understand.
understand what
What
someone
you
is telling
can't
you to stop,
understand.
don't do that, because that
Mm.
teaches you that these emotions are bad or that you need to hide them or that they're not okay. And so you can't ever understand it if you don't know why it's happening, what's going on, what are my tears saying to me, and there's no space for that.
Doc, I think counseling needs to be like mandatory.
I think social skills training and psychoeducation in schools should be mandatory, yes.
Should be mandatory. But well, I got sad real quick. I was like, because we definitely not going to get that now. But necessarily. Um, so so helping helping the children by teaching emotional regulation. So teaching children to express emotions appropriately, help them develop emotional intelligence and resilience. Another one of my favorite words, because I am I'm not only the president of Resilient University, but I'm also a student. And so, for example, encouraging a child to talk about their anger can help them learn to manage it. Yes, no, maybe.
Yes.
Yes. And so we talked about, if it's helping and harming. So now harming. So I'm gonna let you run. So harming by suppressing expression, like discouraging emotion expression, like we talked about.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like
Yeah.
when you tell them not to express their emotions, you're teaching them that it's bad.
So discouraging emotion expression can lead to feelings of shame
Shame.
and confusion. Um, and then like you mentioned, long-term emotional difficulties. Like, and this thing, and here's the thing. We talk about these issues. We're talking about children, but I don't think we can talk about it without talking about the progression of it at every stage. Because if we talk about it limits the development. So it does it limits your development as you become a man. And that's the thing. These individuals are still becoming mothers, they're still becoming fathers, they're still becoming teachers, lawyers, judges, medical professionals, the whole nine. So just take a thought on how that leads and impacts our entire society. That's how important the conversation is. And like you said, it should be taught in schools, but we know it's not. Um, so what would be I guess what would be I don't know, I want to say surefire way. And I know Doc gonna be like, ain't no surefire way. People just way too different things are just way too jacked up. So, if children are not told, if they're told not to cry, um, they might grow up unable to express any vulnerability, which will affect all of the relationships, which is what I'm hindering on. Um, and as we move into the last few minutes, definitely unload on that, Doc.
I feel like that's it. No, for real, I do. I do not have that loquaciousness about myself. I just be like, this is what it is. So let's see. When you teach a child that it is not okay to cry or it is not okay to express emotion, you are teaching a child that their emotions are bad. If a child grows up thinking that their emotions are bad, they are going to lack emotional intelligence and they are going to
Mm,
struggle to communicate and relate to others. So then they will be adults looking at people like, you crying? What's the matter? Why are you crying? Like, what's happening? And then the
mm.
other person is like, oh, you being funny? They not being funny. They just don't understand that you are so freely expressing your emotions. So now there's conflict in the relationship. So when you do not allow a person to express their emotions, you are stifling their future relationships and you are stifling how they will interact in the world at large in the future.
I think yeah, 100%. You talking about that was all of it. You was very loquacious on that one, and you brought some
I
other
had to work
points.
on that. I had to
We
like
had
work on that. I've been working
I
all
for some
day.
reason I
I
don't
ain't
know
worked at home.
for some reason I just don't think so. I just don't think so. So, what is I mean, other than going to Latoya the therapist, and we talked about how to express it, but how can you come back from this? And this will be like the final. We'll wrap
Yeah,
it
I
up.
think
But
you go see
how
the
do you
lady. and you
Okay.
do psychoeducation. And I have a feelings wheel, and depending on the age of the client, depending on what feelings wheel I will send them. And so you're going to track your feelings. You're going to write mad first because that's what you feel, but then you're going to look at this feelings wheel that I'm giving you or showing on my screen or have
Mm.
emailed to you or whatever. And you're going to tell me what you really feel because this is a safe place. There's no judgment in the therapy room with me. Like if you sad, say you sad. If you jealous, say you jealous. Like I don't care. Emotions are emotions. Everybody has them. People will try to stunt you out like they've never been. Oh, I've never been jealous. You're lying. You lying.
You're
I don't believe
mm,
you. I've
mm.
never felt embarrassment. Shut up, because I saw your high school pictures. You was embarrassed. Stop. So
Because I'm
everybody
embarrassed.
has
Because
felt
I'm
emotions.
embarrassed for you. No, I'm just.
Right. So you can learn how to express your emotions. You just have to want to learn. You have to go seek out the information. Most people can name happy, mad, sad. That's it. That's how they got. And there are so many other emotions that go along with happy, sad, mad. So there's joy, there's excitement, there's amusement, there's depression, there like it's all these other emotions. But if you can only name happy, mad, sad, then that's the only thing that you can express. So first educating yourself on what the emotions are,
Mm.
that's where you start.
And I'm gonna tell you, I wanted to make these statements, and Doc, I know Doc will shoot holes in anything that I state, but from my experience, like when it comes to men, and then in as they're in relationships, whether they're romantic or platonic friendships, at work, many times individuals are very stoic, and that's because they like the way what I'm going to do is refrain from putting myself in circumstances, situations where I have to express any type of emotion because I only know three: happy, mad, sad, as Doc just said. So all they can say is, "Okay, that ain't making me happy," or and men will not even admit the sadness. So I'm happy or mad. And so think about this being in relationships, whether it be with your children or your significant other or even friends, and also at work and out through school. When you do not even understand, or you haven't been exposed to the wide variety and array of what emotions are and what you're experiencing, the limitations that put on you. And I think and people have lived their entire lives not knowing, not being able to express. And the more I went through and more the more I studied and read up on this, it was so saddening. Now it was enlightening to me because I seek out those things. Ultimately I will every day I'm going to work to be the best version of myself. The greatest One of the greatest things that I've done is been vulnerable, because it takes a lot of effort to do so, because you're not going to always get the response from people that you think you'll get. You won't always get the support or the hey, oh, that's great. You will get some side eye by some individuals. It may be your peers, people that you've considered friends. They're like, man, what's really going on with you, bro? If you don't going on with that, and that will be the case. Um, and I think it's so important to that we have the conversation because it's individuals who are right in that situation right now. They can think of the person that operates and deals with them in that way. And I would say don't get upset and don't get angry, because that's a work that you can do on understanding, because now you're a little bit more informed about your emotions. So the thing is to take lead on that, um, to develop your emotional quotient. That's what EQ. People use that word a lot, and they don't even know what the hell they talking about. Yeah, I said it. I said y'all be saying it, and you don't know, but you've watched Perspective today, and now you will. So do you have anything on that? When they talk about emotional quotient, is did I state that right? How would you define it or really state what emotional if you have a high EQ?
So I hate EQ because I just
Okay,
prefer emotional intelligence.
emotional intelligence.
But EQ is cool too. It's just how do you understand your own emotions and can you understand the emotions of people around you? That's what
Mm,
emotional intelligence is, simply stated.
absolutely.
Very simply stated.
So I'm Doc. I'll let you wrap it up because I know you're going to say it better than me. But my little last statements is, if there was anything I wanted to take away from this, or I would want anyone else to take away from this, the most importantly that your emotions are not bad. Um, and I think I'm right now. I'm gonna be honest. I think I'm speaking to men. There's some men out there who feel like they have to keep it together. They cannot show any vulnerability that they are sad or that they're concerned or that they're worried. They don't have all the answers. That they have to show that nothing bothers them. They can lose individuals. And I'll be honest. I'm speaking from a personal place. Um, I lost my grandmother earlier this year, and on my birthday. Now, this is my first birthday without my grandmother. It did not dawn on me that that would be happening and that it would hit me the way that it did. And I am standing before my team who reports to me, um, conducting our morning meeting, and was overwhelmed with freaking emotion because they tried to sing happy birthday to me. And so to share in this moment, you're going to run across men. It's like, I don't celebrate my birthday, or they don't want any, because any little, it threw me off. And I was sitting there like, uh, thank you. And didn't even know why. I'm getting teary eyed. I'm like, I am the leader. I cannot be doing this in this moment.
Why?
That's what I'm saying. It just automatically came. But,
Mhm.
um, and I was able to, to reel it in. But I kind of let it ride. I let it ride. Now I didn't boo-hoo because I'm not really a boo-hooer. Because I learned this later. I had already become that, hey, you don't cry, you don't show no softness or nothing like that. I perfected being that hard cat. You know what I mean? And acting like it didn't bother me, and taking the hits on the chin, physically and emotionally. Um, so I think there's a certain level of resilience that is important to have, but it can come not only by just being hardened, but it comes by being informed. And so
Mm.
if you're going to take anything away from that, be informed. Do not be afraid to delve into your emotions. Get with someone, learn about your emotions, do the research, and become stronger and more fit in that way, and increase. It's important to increase your emotional intelligence. And that'll be my little 2 cents. And Doc, you can wrap it up as we head out.
So I would just like to say that acknowledge your emotions. Your emotions are valid. They are real. They don't need an explanation just because you had them. The fact that you had this emotion makes it valid. They are just not facts. Emotions are not good. They're not good or bad. It's the behavior that follows that gets you in trouble or not. So make
Mm,
sure that you are, instead of working so hard to stuff your emotions, work hard to ensure that the behaviors that you exhibit as a result of these emotions are aligned with your values. That's what I would say. And if you are still here, we definitely appreciate you for being here.
yes,
Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a different friend to tell another friend, not the friend from last week, but a different friend, that you love the show and we are here. And we'll see you next week.
absolutely. Hey, thank you all. Hey, y'all be well. Y'all be wonderful. And stay platinum. All right. Bye bye.